Imagine this. It's 1983. The neon lights flicker on the wet streets of Averno City. The radio plays synth-heavy 80s music, and you, Nick Cordell Jr., a rookie cop with more drive than experience, are ready to clean up the city from criminals. The Precinct, developed by Fallen Tree Games and published by Quali, is not just a police sandbox. It's a love letter to 80s action movies with a touch of classic GTA, but from the side of the law. Sounds epic, right? But does it live up to expectations, or does it get stuck in a jam of bugs and repetitive mechanics? The Precinct is an isometric action sandbox that puts you in the shoes of a police officer in a fictional city inspired by 80s New York. Here you're not a criminal like in GTA, but a law enforcer facing procedurally generated crimes, from parking tickets to gang shootouts. The game combines police simulation with arcade action, all wrapped in a neon noir aesthetic that screams, "Put on your sunglasses even if it's nighttime." Released on May 13th, 2025, for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. This indie title from a small team, only 5 main developers, has generated buzz for its fresh premise and retro vibe. But is it as fun as it sounds? Let's break it down. Let's start with the story, because every good cop movie needs a hook. In The Precinct, you play as Nick Cordell Jr., a rookie who arrives at Averno City's precinct after the mysterious death of his father, a respected police chief. The main plot, which lasts about 10 to 12 hours, revolves around dismantling criminal gangs, uncovering corruption, and solving your father's murder. Sounds like something out of a Miami Vice episode, right? And that's precisely the intention. The narrative doesn't aim to be The Last of Us. It's a shameless homage to 80s cop series and movies with over-the-top dialogue, archetypal characters, the grumpy chief, the chatty partner, the cartoonish villain, and a light tone that doesn't take itself too seriously. This gives it a unique charm. There are moments where the game embraces its parody side, like when you're chasing a petty thief while the soundtrack sounds like it was ripped straight from a Lethal Weapon VHS. Plus, the story has a couple of twists that, while not mind-blowing, keep things interesting, especially when you start suspecting that the police department isn't as clean as it seems. Now, it's not all smooth sailing. The story suffers from being predictable. The characters, though charismatic, are flatter than a pancake. Nick Cordell Jr. is such a generic protagonist that he feels like he was created using a standard action hero template. His co-workers at the Precinct lack depth, and the dialogues often fall into cliche phrases like, "This city is rotten," or "You're a rookie, but you've got guts." Also, the narrative scenes are shown through static images and text, which feels a bit cheap compared to what we expect from a modern sandbox. If you're looking for a deep narrative, you'll be left wanting more. The heart of the Precinct lies in its gameplay, which combines police simulation with frantic action. Here, you don't just shoot and chase, you also do paperwork. Yes, seriously. Let's break down the main mechanics. The game gives you 3 ways to patrol: on foot, by car, or by helicopter. Each shift starts with a menu where you choose how and where to patrol. Crimes are procedurally generated, which means you never know if you'll be dealing with a drunk driver, a graffiti artist, or a bank robbery. This keeps things fresh, at least in the beginning. On foot, ideal for narrow alleys and pedestrian areas. You can frisk suspects, ask for ID, and even grapple with them if they resist, button mashing like a 90s arcade. It's satisfying when you finally cuff a crook after a foot chase. By car. Car chases are the game's strong point. You can use the megaphone to order suspects to stop, call for backup, deploy spikes, or even commandeer a civilian vehicle. The feeling of chasing a suspect through Averno's streets, sirens blaring, is pure cinema. By helicopter. This is the most bad boys you'll ever feel. From the air, you can track suspects and coordinate reinforcements. However, the helicopter controls are a bit clunky, and you won't use it as much as you'd like. The police procedure system is surprisingly detailed. You have a manual that explains how to act in each situation, run background checks, search vehicles, do sobriety tests, etc. If you follow protocol, you gain experience points. If you mess up, you lose them. This approach turns every arrest into a small puzzle, which is addictive for players who enjoy methodical gameplay. Plus, you can automate certain actions or delegate them to your partner, making the game accessible both for perfectionists and for those who just want action. When things heat up, the Precinct becomes an arcade shooter. The gunfights are simple. Aim, shoot, take cover. You can unlock weapons like pistols, shotguns, and even a rifle, but combat feels a bit clunky. The AI is a weak spot. Enemies sometimes stand still like mannequins or run straight at you with no strategy. Your partners don't help much either. They seem to have the aim of a stormtrooper on a bad day. With experience points, you unlock upgrades like more stamina, better weapons, faster vehicles, and abilities like more effective searches. However, the upgrade system is superficial. Many abilities don't drastically change the experience, and some, like automating frisks, take away part of the game's simulation charm. Gameplay shines when everything clicks. You're patrolling, get a robbery call, chase the suspect by car, call reinforcements, deploy spikes, and finally cuff them after a shootout. These moments are pure spectacle and make you feel like the star of an action movie. The variety of crimes and the freedom to approach them. Do you go solo or call for help? Use lethal force or follow protocol? Give the game a unique identity. Also, details like cars pulling over when you blare the sirens or street names shouted over the radio add immersion. Now comes the dark side. Patrols, though varied at first, become repetitive after a few hours. Ticketing bad parking is fine the first few times, but by the 10th, you wonder if this is a game or a bureaucrat simulator. Main missions, though more cinematic, also fall into repetitive patterns. Gather evidence, unlock mission, chase gang boss, repeat. Plus, the game has bugs. From NPCs getting stuck to missions not completing properly, these issues break immersion. They're not critical, but they are annoying. The erratic AI and the lack of dynamic events like weather to break the monotony also take away points. The Precinct doesn't compete with Cyberpunk 2077 in technical muscle, but it doesn't need to. Its cell shading aesthetic and isometric perspective give it a retro look that fits perfectly with its 80s vibe. Averno City is a character in itself. Its wet streets, neon lights, personality-filled neighborhoods, Little Italy, Chinatown, and details like vandalized phone booths create an immersive atmosphere. The day-night cycle and dynamic weather, rain, fog, add realism. The graphics aren't cutting edge, but the art style makes up for it. The dialogue scenes with static comic-style art are a stylistic win, though they feel low budget. The soundtrack is a trip to the past. The 80s synths make you want to throw on a leather jacket and drive a Mustang. Sound effects like sirens and gunfire are fine, but not remarkable. The voice acting in English with Spanish subtitles is uneven. Some actors do a great job, but others sound like they're reading the script for the first time. Also, there are technical issues. Some lines have noise or distortion, especially at the start of the game. Overall, the Precinct runs well on PC and consoles. It doesn't require a NASA rig. It even runs on HDD, though SSD is recommended. However, the bugs mentioned, stuck NPCs, glitched missions, and occasional frame rate drops in intense moments mar the experience. On Steam Deck, the game is playable, but the touch controls aren't well optimized. The main campaign lasts around 10 to 12 hours, or 6 to 8 if you rush it. After finishing the story, you can keep patrolling, upgrading your character, and unlocking side activities like time trials and illegal races, where you infiltrate as a cop, which feels a bit forced. Replayability depends on how much you enjoy the patrol loop. If being a meticulous cop hooks you, you could get 20-30 hours out of it. If repetition bores you, you'll probably stop after the credits roll. One important note, the Precinct arrives at a time when the depiction of police work is a sensitive topic. The game opts for a satirical and exaggerated tone, avoiding ethical dilemmas or political commentary. This could be a smart move for some, keeping things light, but others may find it shallow, especially when addressing issues like police corruption in such a caricatured way. As a fan of 80s action films and classic GTA, the Precinct hooked me from minute one. The first time I chased a thief by car with the radio yelling 42nd Street, suspect on the move, and synths blasting, I felt like I was living a retro dream. But I also got frustrated when, for the third time, an NPC got stuck in a wall, or I had to ticket yet another poorly parked car. This game is like that funny but disorganized friend. Makes you laugh, but also drives you nuts. If I had to describe it in one sentence, I'd say the Precinct is like ordering a pizza with extra cheese. When it's good, it's glorious. When it's not, it leaves a bittersweet taste. But even in its worst moments, it has a charm that makes you want to give it another shot. The Precinct is a game that will make you smile with its retro style, adrenaline-filled chases, and unique take as a police simulator. It's an indie gem that captures the essence of 80s action films and gives a fresh twist to the sandbox genre. However, its repetitiveness, bugs, and cliché narrative prevent it from reaching greatness. If you love classic GTA, shows like NYPD's, Blue, or just want something different, this game will give you hours of fun, but if you're after a polished experience or deep story, you might be left wanting more. It's like a freshly made donut, delicious, but don't eat 10 in a row, or you'll get sick. My advice, try the demo on Steam, patrol a couple of shifts, and decide if you want to be the next hero of Averno City. What do you think about the Precinct? Have you played it already, or are you thinking about giving it a shot? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you liked this review, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss more content. See you on the streets of Averno, rookie!